Hi, and welcome to lesson 2. This is the ethical use of AI. So we touched on this briefly, but I'm really going to dig deeper into the issue in this particular lesson. So let's get going. So again, from the book Teaching with AI, which I mentioned in the first segment, even if you can prevent cheating, the real problem is that AI can do college level work. And that's just the truth, right? But our students will need to add further value. Just because it can do college level work doesn't mean it's A level work. And maybe you've gotten an A for some things that you've used AI for, but usually it doesn't go deep enough, especially within a history class. So, broader perspectives. Let's take a look at education and ethics experts. What do they say? So, there's a website called Educause, and so they define AI literacy across 4 pillars. They say it includes technical understanding, critical evaluation, practical application, and ethical usage, emphasizing that awareness of bias and misuse is essential. So let's dig deep into what that actually means. This is from their website. They've got this little pyramid. Step 1 at the bottom, understand AI. Right. And I think what's happening in most of our settings, our college settings, is that students are going straight here to create AI when really they're missing these first 3 steps. And what we've got to do as instructors is teach our students how to do these first 3 steps, because it's sort of like, with anything, if you have, we all want to get to the finished project or the finished product like that, right? We want it. I mean, we live in a fast society with fast food and instant video, and everything is just at a fingertip, right? But really, if you want something that's quality, you've got to take the time to produce that quality. And working with AI is no different. We're all kind of dabbling in it right now. It's very new, and maybe you've gone to chat and you're plugging in some prompts, or you're plugging in questions, or maybe you haven't generated your own questions to ask, things like that. And so that's really what this series is designed to do, is to help you understand it, know how to use and apply it, analyze and evaluate what it's telling you, and then you create. So there are a lot of steps before you get to that finished product. Now, technical understanding. This involves grasping AI fundamentals, such as how AI systems like machine learning, natural language processing, and neural networks work. Do you really understand how AI works? There's a really great podcast, the AI Breakdown. If you really want to understand the newest developments in AI, and he's got like these 10 or 15-minute segments, I would encourage you to maybe take a look at that. There's a lot of other podcasts out there as well, if you're into that kind of thing. I particularly have found that one to be helpful. It's easy to listen to on my commute or whatever, but there's a lot out there, and he basically tells you what the latest developments are, who's working on what it's going to do. He talks about the future. The latest one I listened to was about glasses, and made me think of the movie Iron Man. You know how Iron Man has these really cool glasses and they can do all these like quirky things. And so they're actually developing something kind of like that. So if you're interested in learning more, you can kind of go that route. The AI Breakdown is a good pod, but there's many out there. Now, students should also develop hands-on experience with AI tools, learning to write effective prompts and make AI work for your academic task. So AI can work for you, but it needs to work for you in the right way as a collaborator and not a replacement for your own thinking. Critical evaluation is essential. You've got to learn how to assess AI outputs. Are they even credible? Like I said in the other video, where did it get this information? Ask it. It will tell you. Be alert to misinformation. My sister had, her son is in middle school. He's doing a math question. They asked AI to explain how to do this question. And as she was looking at it with him, she realized that based on the formula that it had given, that it actually gave her the wrong answer. And she said, wait a minute, you said this is 21, but isn't it 12? And AI was like, oh, you're a good catch, And so you've got to be able to evaluate things like that, because it's not always correct. And so recognize its limitations, right? Recognize that like human error, there's an element of error in AI, which is sort of ironic, right? Okay, so practical application beyond theory. AI must be effectively integrated into real world tasks, like using AI to personalize study routines. You can ask it to create you a schedule. I don't know if you've ever thought about doing that, but maybe you're really struggling with time management. And you can tell AI, hey, I'm really struggling putting my schedule together. Can you help me? Now, one caveat here, and I'm going to go through this in a later video. There are certain things that you just never want to plug into AI. Excuse me. And so think of it this way. Personal information, you wouldn't want to tell it where you're going to be, like specifically where you go to school, your name, your student ID. You know, if you're going to have it create a schedule for you, just keep it really vague and say, you know, I'm school here, I'm work here, and, you know, maybe tell it the times or whatever, and it can suggest, you know, when is a good time to study or something like that. But again, I'll go into this in a later video, but there are reasons that you want to keep things vague and not plug your personal information in, because it does save some of that and it uses it as data. But we want to use it for real world tasks. So you can conduct literature reviews. If you're like, let's say you're taking a lit class and you're assigned Shakespeare and you're at a loss because Old English is just not your strong suit. You could ask it to interpret Shakespeare. How do I understand this, right? You can ask it to manage projects, enhance your research. You know, so try to use it for real world things in addition to just academic questions, if that makes sense. And again, of course, you know, you don't have to do this. And, you know, if some people are really gifted at creating a schedule on your own, my daughter is a very administrative thinker. I'm not really sure that she would be into something like that, but she would use it for other things. And so, you know, you find, you know, whatever your weak spots are, can you fill those in with a little AI help? Okay, so simplifying complex readings. I just kind of talked about Shakespeare. You can use it for studying for exams, like quizzing yourself. Ask it to create a quiz. You know, plug in your course content and ask it to make flashcards or something like that. You can create your own study guide. It can proofread for you. So, you know, when you've already done all the work, you plug it in and you say, hey, check my grammar and my formatting. And it can help you with that. It can help you with tone. You know, ask it, does, you know, again, specific questions, right? So does this sound scholarly and academic? Project planning and time management, you can use it to create and so one of the nuances about chat, some of these features you have to create an account for, and others you can use without that. So like uploading documents and things, if you wanted to, you know, check your Word doc or something, I believe you have to create an account for that at this point in time. You can also explore career options. One of the things that I used it for, I'm getting ready to write my dissertation. And so I plugged in my dissertation thesis and most salient points. And I go to a very large school. And I said, which professors at my school would be best suited for this particular dissertation? And it gave me a list of who's written books about what and who might really fit. And so that was very useful to me. You can explore career options. You can practice communication. You can even practice a debate. If you're getting ready for a debate, ask it to debate with you. That's kind of fun. So check your motives. The biggest thing when you are using AI at any time, ask, you know, am I learning from this thing or outsourcing my thinking, right? So if it's thinking for you, that might be kind of dangerous, right? What's the difference between collaboration and dependence? Think about it as a person. You know, if you are collaborating with another person, it's going to have ideas that you don't, right? Or that person is going to have ideas that you don't. Whereas, like, if that person does all the work for you and you did none of it, that's kind of a tell as to where you're at in your journey with AI usage. Okay, there are some unethical uses of AI in academia, as you know. You would not want to submit AI generated work as your own. That's plagiarism. You would not want to use AI during an exam or quiz. That's cheating. asking AI to solve homework problems without understanding the work. So it's sort of like my sister with the math problem. Totally fine to ask AI to teach you how to solve the problem, but you've got to be able to understand that formula by the time you get done, not just copy and paste the answer. You wouldn't want to falsify sources or citations. That's an easy one. Look up a source on this and then slap it on your paper somewhere and pretend like you actually read it. Again, that's unethical. Using AI to evade academic responsibility and not disclosing AI use when it's required. Some instructors will ask you to use AI and they want to know which parts of your paper were written by AI or something like that. So for my class, mine is a little bit different. I ask you to do your own work and then have AI check it. But, check with your instructor because we all have different policies and, we all teach different things. And so that sort of lends itself to different ways to use AI. Unethical uses of AI in everyday context. So creating deepfakes. And an interesting fact about deepfake technology is when you create a video that's, it looks like a certain person. Like I'm sure you've seen videos of Taylor Swift that are not actually her, videos of Tom Cruise, not actually him, something like that. So they're saying, and this is sort of a secret at this point in a way, in the deepfake technology is very expensive at this point, and it's not open to the public. But when it does get to that point, how easy would it be for students to create a deepfake video if you have to do a video discussion post, right? So how would I even know if it's you or not appearing in that video for an online class? And that gets very concerning. Again, maybe you just didn't feel like fixing your hair that day, and so you're going to do deep fake or whatever. But it could be used for more nefarious things. And so, I would say that it really should be. You take the time to get up, get ready, and appear in your own video, right? And so, but that's the issue that we're facing in the future. You've also got invasion of privacy, using AI to track or analyze someone's data without their knowledge. That's actually illegal in the state of Georgia. It's illegal right now in the country. And so that doesn't mean it's not done, but you definitely should not be using it for that purpose. You shouldn't use it to spread misinformation, using AI to create or share false news articles, try to get someone to vote a certain way or whatever it is. Avoid that. A good rule of thumb, if it gives you an unfair advantage, hides your effort, or harms others, it's probably unethical. So AI isn't just changing the classroom, it's reshaping the workplace. So no matter what field you're going into, I believe you're going to find AI. There's only a handful of jobs that have not been impacted. I mean, my husband works for a trucking company, and there are a lot of things going on with that they are consolidating to the corporate office, they're outsourcing, they're putting gadgets in their trucks to keep up with the truckers, to provide more accountability for the drivers, trying to make sure that everyone is driving well, protect themselves from legalities, all kinds of things. So even, whether it's white collar, blue collar, whatever job you're in, you're going to find that AI affects it in some way. So, citing AI in your work, should you even cite ChatGPT, right? So, AI tools are becoming common helpers for research, writing, and brainstorming. But because AI generates content differently than traditional sources, knowing how to give credit correctly is essential to maintain academic integrity. Plus, some professors want transparency about AI use. And so, this lesson helps you stay on the right side of evolving policies. When should you cite AI? Well, when you quote or directly use AI generated text in your paper. And personally for me, if you're in my class, I don't particularly like that, because I would prefer that you think a little bit higher and ask AI where it got its information. Go read the information that it provided, make sure it actually says that. And what happens sometimes is that AI is giving you a summary. So, like, for example, I was playing around with it in one of my classes. I had it shared on the screen, and I'm showing them how to find quotes for the introduction of their paper, right? And I asked it to find a quote from a historian, or I think it was a primary source, actually. I asked them to find a quote from a primary source, and it pulled up a quote, but it didn't tell me where the quote came from. Like, was it a newspaper article, a book, a speech, what, you know? And so I asked it, where did you find this quote? I need to cite it. And that's when AI says, oh, well, that's actually a paraphrase of the quote. It's not the real thing. And I said, okay, can you provide me the actual quote with the source information? It said yes, and it did that. And so if I wouldn't have asked it that question, I could have just put that in my paper as a quote from that historical figure, and it wasn't even a quote. It was a summary of the quote. So that's essential. You've got to make sure that you understand what you're looking up. Where's the source? So for me, I would prefer that you not cite ChatGPT in your papers. Other instructors may have different policies. That's mine as of right now. And maybe I'll change my mind on that. I don't know. Everything's evolving, and we're learning more and more as time goes by. But that's my stance right now. So when should you not cite AI? Well, when your instructor says not to, right? And so also when AI helps you brainstorm or generate ideas, but you reworked these things and put them in your own words, you don't have to worry about that. When AI is used like a spell checker or a grammar tool like Microsoft Word or Grammarly, that's fine. Note also about Grammarly, Grammarly has an AI component now. So if you use Grammarly to reword your sentences, and let's say, and I've had this happen with students where they reworded the whole paper using Grammarly, it's going to flag on Turnitin. It flags that as 100% AI use. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can use Grammarly to check for spelling and grammar and basics, but I would encourage you to avoid rewording your sentences because you didn't actually say that. And rudimentary work indicates authenticity. Personally, I've gotten to the place that I actually like, and I used to not be this way. I used to say a lot of comments about, oh, well, you need to word it this way or that way. I've got this little folder about 10 writing tips. If you haven't read that, please go read the 10 writing tips, because those are basically scholarly rules for academic writing. Those are things that I specifically look for. You don't need AI and Grammarly. If you just follow those 10 basic things, your writing comes out sounding pretty good. And like I said, rudimentary language is actually a positive sign that you didn't use AI, and I've come to very much appreciate that as an instructor. So when AI outputs common knowledge or facts that don't require citations, if it's a statistic or something like that, of course, you would always want to cite it. You always want to cite direct quotes. But if it's just basic information, you do not need to cite that. So keep a record of your AI interactions. So remember which parts of your paper you asked AI for help with, so that when you get into the citation process, or you can cite it as you go, it depends on how you enjoy doing that. If you're going to cite it all at the end, keep a record, and keep a record anyway, just so you know where your information came from. Use formal citation styles. Avoid citing AI as a primary source. AI is never a primary source. Primary sources come from the original people who lived at the time of the event, their government documents, letters, diaries, things like that, pamphlets. Note the version of AI if you can. So what are you using, and you might want to put that in your citation. So in closing, mastering how and when to cite AI, you are following the rules, but you're also becoming responsible as a digital researcher. You know how to navigate the future of academic writing with integrity. And there's a big difference from that. As you graduate, that will be the thing that sets you apart from your colleagues as you apply for jobs and as you enter the workforce. Thank you for watching.